characterized by ability to cope with the stress and contribute positively to the society. Remember here we said stress is bad, but there is that stress that makes us work. Social well-being, that is the capacity to interact with others effectively. So even as we interact socially, that is being healthy. When we are withdrawn, that is being unhealthy. So because we are dealing with addiction this time, we'll look at what is addiction. And with addiction, it's any thinking or behavior that is habitual, it repeats itself, and is very difficult or impossible to control, regardless of the consequences. So I might be abusing alcohol or any other drug, but for this morning we are going to look at alcohol. But the other things that are abused, like drugs. So when I know that this alcohol will give me problems, I'll still continue. So you continue despite the consequences. So we say addiction usually brings short-term pressure. So we know people go to drink, they say, I'm going to drown my problem. But that is just for a time. When they go back home, see, the problems are still there. So it's just a short time problem so far. But it can bring long-term consequences in the long term. And that is, it will bring problems to the health, like the way we have looked at it. So part of the health we have looked at social health. So it might bring broken relationships, including careers, or even psychological or spiritual problems. In spiritual, sometimes we just feel empty. So we have some common examples of things that we abuse, and we have the substance. The first one, we call them the substance addiction, and that is when we abuse things like alcohol and other drugs. Then we have the behavior. That is when we engage in harmful activities, and that is examples are gambling, shopping, gaming, or excessive work. There are people who are just workaholic. That is not normal. Then we have medical or medication, and that is they are induced because it's something that you take. And this mostly happens from the drugs that we are usually given for pain. There are people who are given drugs for pain when they are ill. But when they are healed, they continue abusing that drug. And an example is morphine and more others. Then just to remind ourselves, this is October. October, we usually observe the breast cancer. It's a breast cancer awareness month. So for the ladies here, if you have not gone for examination or for mammogram, please go to the nearest health center. In October, the charges are usually lowered, so you'll have a better price. And on that, we also remember there is cervical cancer for ladies also, and there is prostate cancer. So please, let's take care of ourselves so that we can have that WHO definition of good health. It's holistically. It's not only in one area. So we want to thank you all who came on Sunday, because we were able to see, like the secretary said, not quite a good number. But what I would urge you, when there is a service given to you, please attend. Remember, we are encouraged to do an annual checkup. I don't know whether we do that. It's good to know how we are. And remember, some drugs are quite preventable if found early. It's a pity when we lose people through things like cervical or breast cancer, yet they've been going to hospitals. So that is with health. I've sold my products. So thank you. So we go now to the sermon for the day. And like it was read so well to us, it was from Genesis 4:3-10, and Luke 15, 25 to 32. If we remember last year, like I've done when I was doing the other part, we talked about the youngest son who went out to trees and abused his inheritance. Then he came back to the father, who received him with compassion, without, thank you, without even thinking or imagining. This son came home broke, maybe even smelling. He had gone to be with he was feeding the pigs. Maybe he was even smelling. So, but the father just received him with compassion. So if we look at Genesis, we see it's about Abel and Cain. This is a reading that we also know so much about. And we are told Abel and Cain, they are the first children of Adam and Eve. That one we know. So Abel gave a sacrifice to God, and God accepted it. But Cain, God didn't accept it. We don't know why. Maybe he still had these qualities that he has. We said it's the mental well-being. It will fall in the mental well-being because his emotions were not good. Because even God was asking him, why are you angry? Why are you downcast? So we'd say the part of the mental well-being, he wasn't well. Even socially, I don't think he was. Because he called his brother, come, we go to the field. And he went to kill him. So they are part of the health that he wasn't well in, and maybe that is why God who knows all, knew his inner heart. So this is where our part of asking, why, what have you done? And Cain is replying, am I my brother's keeper? So in this week or in this time that we want to deal with alcoholism, we don't want to ask like Cain. We don't want to ask, am I my brother's keeper? We want to be our brother's keeper. We want to be our brother's keeper. And like we'll learn later, our church is starting something so that we can be our brother's keeper. And now coming to Luke, where alcoholism now mostly is coming from. If you start from Luke verse 1, you'll see it's talking about lost things. We have the lost coin, we have the lost sheep, and now the lost son. Before we come to the elder son. So we see that the items that were lost, the sheep was lost outside there, and the coin inside the house. But when the owners found them, they celebrated. So when we come now to these two sons of this father, we find one was lost out there, the prodigal one. He went out there. But the one who was left home, the elder one, the one we are dealing with today, was lost inside. He was inside. And that is why maybe even the father was asking what we had from the call to worship. But we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and he's alive today. He was lost and is found. So even as a church, we are lost here inside as we look at ourselves as the good son. That good son we can see he is well dressed, he's living well, and he's just there. Wondering what is wrong with this brother of mine. Now that other one who went to waste his money. So in a way, we are like the elder son as a church, as a member of a family. Because alcoholism is running in our families, it's running in our church, it's running in our community. But what are we doing? We are putting that barrier. I'm okay there. I'm okay there. And you are the bad one. So we want to break that barrier. And that is why we are talking about break the barrier and restore the board. And we'll do that as we think of the other people. So the prodigal son, the other son was not amused by all what the father did to the lost son. And even, he never bothered even to go inside And that is what we do, even to the people who are abusing alcohol. We never bother to know, do they eat? Where do they sleep? We never bother. And if they're in our family, I was telling other people somewhere, if it's a son who abuses alcohol, and maybe when we meet, when we have a family gathering, and a sheep or something is slaughtered, the son, which jobs is he given? And washa moto, and sijui osha mara. You know, we look down on them. Do we even imagine to think what they also think of us? There is a thing that goes on a son that is usually high or with alcohol most of the times. And when the family calls a gathering, they call him because he's an alcoholism. And he starts with, you Jane, and he says all about Jane. You, the other, he says about all that. And the people now, the ones on the other good side, he talks very bad about them, which is true. It's a truth, bad things about them. And he says, hey, and you are calling me here for a meet. You don't even look at your own things. So, and I think as a church, that is what we are doing. We are seeing ourselves as good, and our brothers who abuse drugs or abuse alcohol as the bad one. We are judging, we are being angry with them. So just like these two scenarios of these our two brothers, the community, our family and the community, we are full of anger and frustrations of our brothers and sisters who abuse the alcohol or take other substance abuses, or who abuse other substances. Sorry about that. So like Ken, we are asking, am I my brother's keeper? That is what we are doing as a family, as a church, as a community. Or like the elder son, we are lost within. I said the elder son was lost within. As we are in the comfort zone, but yet we seem to be lost when it comes to alcoholism. So that the church has decided to come together and fight alcoholism. And the church is starting, in parishes, we are starting the AA, or the Alcoholic Anonymous. And that is something that is ongoing. Even there are some churches that have started. And we know with time, we are going to start that one. We are going to aid them and give them support. And with time, I know it will take time, but with the time, it will be something of the past. So, as we sang the song, Just As I Am, this song was sung by a lady who was invalid. Her physical part of mental health was bad, and so it impacted so much on her mental health. So she had great mental distress, and she was deeply conscious of what was happening in her life. Then she met a pastor, and the pastor tried to tell her how now she can come to Christ. And she was so much disturbed by that, and she wondered how. And she even she told the pastor how. She said she wanted to clean her life before coming to Christ. So just like the alcoholics, they might think, I can't go to Christ like this. And even us, as a church, we remember even when we hold crusades, and I hope now we have stopped. If somebody, an alcoholic, comes at the podium, namwambia ushers, embu tutoe huyu. So we are saying we want to embrace these people. You never know whether that was the day they were going to get saved. So this lady, when she said, I want to clean up my life before coming to Christ, the pastor said, come just as you are. And so the song was born. She's the writer of the song, Just As I Am. And in the song, I want to share some things that are there with the alcoholics. So we think, actually we were told not to call them alcoholics, ama walevi. They are people. At the beginning of it all, they are people. Before they went to alcohol, they are people. So there are people who abuse alcohol. So the song says, in part, I'll just talk about maybe 3 stanzas. It says, you are tossed about with many a conflict, many a doubt, fighting and fears within and without. Within, it's them. They are wondering, how do I come out of this alcoholism? But without, it's from us. We are the ones giving them the pressure. We kazi yako ni kukunywa, we kazi yako ni kuniibia, we kazi yako, we are not giving them peace. So we are just tossing them left, right, and everywhere. Then we are saying, welcome them, pardon them, so that they'll live a life like me and you. And the other stanza says, thy love is unknown. It's us, the church. That love that we have, it can break the barrier. It has broken every barrier down. Well, while this lady was writing the song, she was writing so that, because she wanted to come to God, and that is why she was saying, oh, Lamb of God, I come. Oh, I come. But now, for this alcoholism, I found it's a song that can enlighten us and show us we have to love these people and love them the way we are. And even one of the Sunday school kids sang about that first son, how he got lost with because of alcohol. So we are going to bring this person with love to us, because they have a disorder that us as church, we can take care of. Then we also remember our Lord Jesus Christ talked about the greatest commandment. He said it's to love our God with all our soul, with all our heart, with all our strength. And he said the second is to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So this year, we want our neighbors to be these people who abuse drugs. Abuse alcohol. We want these people to be our neighbors. We had talked here some other times about a neighbor. Who is a neighbor? And we say that neighbor can be anybody, even in our own houses. Our spouses can be a neighbor. Our children can be a neighbor. So if we have these people who are struggling with alcohol, we will, I know with time, will make a difference. Because if we remember, sometimes back when AIDS started, we were also putting a wall, a barrier. That wall is up to there. Usipite hapa. But today you can't even know who has AIDS and who has HIV and who has not. Because we accepted them and we removed the stigma. And that is what we want to do with people who abuse alcohol. We want to remove that barrier. We want to associate with them. We want, when they come to church and sit there, hatutaanza kuodoa vitu tukiwaangalia. We won't smell that second son came from the pigs. We want to embrace them as they are, because I know with time this will happen, because God is a God of another time. And even when we remember Galatians 5:2 says, carry each other's burden, and this way you'll fulfill the law of Christ. So we'll be able to fulfill the law of Christ of loving our neighbor as we do ourselves. And before I finish, I want to give a story. I know most of us have heard it, and maybe it's a true story. I don't know. It's a story. So we are told of this gentleman who never used to go to church. And the wife was like, so we go to church. And the husband, most of the Sundays, used to be left at home. But this Sunday, he decided, well, why not? Let me go to church. And he went to church with his family. And they came and sat, maybe where the wife sits. Maybe it's just here near the front. And they sat there. And the service went on. Ikafika wakati wa sermon, like now. Si mnasikia hakuna kelele? And then the phone rang. And with that song, not the Christian song. Labda iliimba hiyo malilo, Malilo. Can you imagine from there? na je nimekaa hapa. So nitaanza, who is that now? And you know, when he went to maybe to put it off what, kube akafinya button ya volume, ndio ikaiba sana. Hata mwenye hakuwa anasikia pade hiyo, akasikia. Not a pleasant song. Yeah? So the wife was like, hey, supasha. The children, hey, daddy. So wakati ilikataa kupoa, akatoka. So you can imagine from here anatoka, na that kasong bado inaiba. I've said ni song ya pade ingine. Si nikisema hivyo mnaelewa? Na ndio nikasema labda ilikuwa inaiba. Mariro. Si ndio inaibagwa? Si mnaibaga aje? Abujui. I know it ni vile tu. Hata jiji najua mnajua. So akitoka huku, hata the ushers were not amused with him. So hakuna hata alimuongelesha. So he decided to go home. Akaenda home. Si someone inakujaga alafu church inaisha. So after imeisha, the wife akaenda home na watoto. The wife akaanza tena, vile uliniaibisha, hata sijui chair wa Giuda atasema nini, sijui CBM chair atasema nini, hata mchungaji story ikaanza tena. Hakuwa anapewa peace. Watoto kumchekelea tu, daddy, hiyo wimbo, And the guy was like, can't happen the very first time I'm going to church. Akadecide, wacha niende pahali nimesoea. Akarudi, akaenda pale Swallow One. And because he was still humiliated, akaketi atakona. Akaitisha bia, akaletewa. Si ameletewa bia na grass. Because of the frustration, sikaaguka down. Sikafujika, the grass and the bottle. Akaanza tena, masaa leo siku frustration, sijui huyu bartender ataniambia nini. Bartender akakuja, kamwambia, pole sana nani. Usijali. Si alimkuta ameinama anataka kuokota hizo glasses, broken glasses. Kamwambia achana na hizo. I'm going to sweep. Don't worry, I'm going to sweep. It happens, my dear, it happens. Tunaona tofauti. Don't worry, these things happen. I'm going to sweep. Ata, I'm going to give you another bottle of beer. Now this one to the house. Ata lipa to the house. Tunaona the treatment. Hapa church, tumecondemn, tumejudge, we agree. Huku kwingine, huyo gentleman, sijui iliendaje, acha tujijasie tu. So because alcoholism or other addiction is here with us, in our family, church, and community, let us not be like Cain, who said, am I my brother's keeper? Or unlike the second son, we are going to break the barrier and restore the bond. Just like the father, who was full of compassion. He never bothered how the son came. So we are going to be full of compassion as we break the barrier and build the bond. Restore the bond. Let us be outstanding. I want us to break that barrier and restore the bond, because it's you and me who are going to do that. We have said it's in our community, it's in our families, it's in our church. So, can we break? We are going to break and restore. So, let's break the barrier, restore. We can say together, break the barrier, restore the ball. Break the barrier, restore the board. Break the barrier, restore the board. You can be seated. Thank you, and may God bless you all.